What's good, everybody? Is when I come back at y'all with another video. So this video is going to be all about mindset. This one right here is for anyone out there who feels as though they've been struggling in life and want a change, right? That they want things to get better, right? The main idea of this video is the title of this video. Don't wish for life to be easier. Wish to be better, right? There's many people who have faced struggles in their life and are praying for the life to just get easier. And I'm here to tell you, rather than wishing for everything around you to be easier, wish for yourself to be better. Strive to become better. Strive to bring out the best version of yourself, because as you improve yourself, that's when everything around you has to change. And it's simple. It's simple because creation, right? We were all given the ability to create because we have an imagination, right? We have the ability to think for ourselves. We're free thinkers, right? So we can use our imagination and our mind to create anything that we want. We were given the gift of creation, and creation happens from the inside out, right? Because your thoughts and your imagination, your mind, right? Everything is from within. So creation always begins from within and then is expressed in the outer world. So creation always begins from the inside out. So if you want your life to improve, you need to begin improving yourself so that you yourself can be better, so that you can use your creative gifts, your omnipotent power, which is your divine power, your God power, right? You want to improve yourself so that you can begin creating better from the inside out. See, most people, they will wish for life to be easier because they simply want to remain the same, right? They want to remain who they are, right? And just pray for everything around them to change, for everything to just suddenly get easier, and for everything around to improve, right? Sometimes in order for things around you to improve, right? In order for things in your life to change, you're going to have to change things in your life. You're going to have to be operating differently. And in order to operate differently, you're going to need to first begin to think differently, right? In order to do things differently, you're going to have to think differently. And that is by bettering yourself first and foremost, right? When you better yourself, that is when you can begin changing the things around you. Because sometimes, right, people fall into the trap of being in the same cycle, doing the same things over and over, expecting things to change, right? How is that going to happen? If everything that you've done got you into the position that you're in life. How do you expect things to just magically change if you don't ever change anything, right? See, the people who wish for life to be easier are generally people who are problem oriented, are people who face the same problems for decades, right? Like, how is it possible to have a problem, right? Experience a quote unquote problem and experience that same problem decade after decade after decade, right? That tells me that for that person, all of their attention has been on the problem and they haven't given attention to the solution, right? When you stop wishing for your life to be easier and begin wishing for you to get better, wishing and striving for you to become better, right? As you continue investing in yourself, that is when you begin shifting your mindset from being problem oriented to solution oriented. That's when a quote unquote problem arises, right? Your old version of you would say, oh my God, this is a big problem. What am I going to do? Problem. However, the new version of you will see a problem arise, quote unquote problem, right? And you'll say, okay, this is what happened. That is okay. There's no reason for me to react. There's no reason for me to panic, right? I know that this problem will handle itself. I know that this will be resolved very soon, right? Because what you need to know is when a problem arises, a solution already exists, right? That the solution was created even before the problem, quote unquote problem, right, arose in your life. Most people who don't invest in themselves don't know this, right? Most people will say, they'll look back on their life and say life was hard. And that will be their justification for why they're in the position that they're in. Well, I'm also here to tell you that saying something, labeling something as easy or hard is subjective. It's not fact, is not truth, right? It's subjective. So that's just an opinion, right? So if it's an opinion, then that means that opinion can change, right? Just as something can be seen as hard, something can also be seen as easy, right? It's no different than the law of opposites, right? There can't be an inside without an outside. There can't be light without darkness, right? There can't be hot without cold. So just as someone is able to see a quote unquote problem, there has to be a solution. Just as someone can say that something is hard, something can also be seen as easy, right? Events that happen in life, right? People label this as a good event, this is a bad event, right? Events just are. Just as you can find a reason for something to be bad or an event in your life to be bad, you can find a reason for it to be good, right? So it's the same idea here, right? If there's a problem that exists in your life, therefore a solution, by law, a solution must exist. And many folks out there will be problem oriented and stay fixated on the problem rather than accepting that this problem arose and saying, you know what, a solution must exist. Therefore, let me put my time, all of my focus and my attention on the solution so that we can resolve whatever issue, right? But the key idea here is when you strive to be better, that's when you understand and accept your power. That's when you come to terms that you are worthy, that you are deserving of it all, and that you can be, do, or have anything. You begin to accept your true power. And once you realize that you share the same power, the same omnipotent power, the same godlike power, divine energy, the same energy that created the mountains, that created the rainforest, that created the amazing sky and the vast oceans, right? That same power, you share that same power. You have access to that same power within you, and you're always connected to that power. So when you understand that you have this same power and this gift, you're not going to live your life problem oriented. You're going to live your life solution oriented, right? Because you know that regardless of the condition that you're in, regardless of the situation that you're in, regardless of the problem that you face, a solution exists. And that you are bigger than your problems, right? Your problems are so tiny compared to who you are and the power that you have access to. So this is the power in wishing to be better and striving to be better each and every day, striving to get better, right? Reading books, listening to audios, getting courses, right? Going to seminar, whatever you can to invest in yourself and feed your mind each and every day with the right information that can help make you better. That is how life begins to change, because you change your life from the inside out. It's not from the outside in, right? Some people get so caught up with looking at their environment and their set of circumstances and saying, well, because things are the way they are, therefore that defines me and who I am. No, it's you, who you've been and who you were previously is what led to you being in the position that you're in, that created the set of circumstances that you're in. And there's no reason to be mad or frustrated or panic, right? Because all that means is now you just have to improve yourself so that everything else around you can change, right? People have it confused. They think of it as backwards. They think, oh, because I'm only have $500 to my name in my bank account, therefore I'm no good to society. I'm only worth $500. No, you can look at that and laugh and smile and say, you know what? That number right there is just, all that is just reflective of my past thoughts and my past decisions and my past actions, because it already exists. That has no bearing on my future. That has no bearing on my true worth, because my true worth cannot be defined by money or by any numbers or digits in a bank system. I'm worth more than any of that stuff, right? So that you can only really have that mindset, that mentality, if you decide to invest in yourself and get better each and every day. Most people would much rather be comfortable because they're already familiar with who they are and they just want things to improve around them without them ever having to lift a finger, without them ever having to do anything. There is a possibility that can happen, right? But in most cases, it hasn't happened for most people, right? It's better for you to invest in yourself and be better, because as you bring out the best version of yourself, that's when you realize that you have been in control this entire time, that you can be, do, or have anything in this lifetime. And even if quote unquote bad events happen, you understand that it's not actually bad, because even in those bad events and in those bad cases, it's still good because that quote unquote bad event is just contrast. It's just showing you what you don't want, right? So then you can be clear in your mind what you do want. And even in those bad events, it's still a gift because in those moments you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself. You have the opportunity to get better, to show up better. And as you improve on yourself, that is when you have the right mentality to approach life. You can effectively walk through life feeling invincible because regardless of what happens in your life, you know that you hold the cards. You know that regardless of how something looks, that nothing ever actually has to be bad because you can always find the good in every situation. You can always find a brand new opportunity in every situation. So this is what I mean when I say don't wish for life to be easier, because oftentimes people want to wish for life to be easier so that they can just remain the same and everything around them just magically improves. And that would be good, except there might be a time where another obstacle or roadblock might come into your way, right? And then you'll just be flustered, right? Because you've never bettered yourself. If you better yourself and bring out the 2.0 version of you, the 3.0, the perfect version of you, you'll be living your life with the right mentality and the right attitude. So if you're approaching life with the right attitude, then that means there's nothing that can throw you off. Doesn't matter what happens in life, right? You can hit rock bottom and lose it all. You'll still have a smile on your face because you know that things are going to change for the better, that things are going to improve, right? You're going to be effectively indifferent to the events that happen because you know that things don't happen to you, they happen for you, for your betterment, for your growth, right? So don't wish for life to be easier because you deserve it for yourself to bring out the best version of yourself, and the world deserves to see it. So rather than wishing for life to be easier, wish for you to be better, so that once you're better and you bring out the best version of yourself, doesn't matter what life throws at you anymore, right? Because you'll be able to adapt and you'll still have a smile on your face the whole time, right? You won't be worried anymore. All this negative emotion that you've been feeling, right? That is what leads to your suffering, because negative emotion makes you feel bad. That's what leads to your suffering. There's been people who've been able to eliminate suffering entirely, right? Imagine you're able to live your life without the need of negative thoughts and negative emotions anymore, right? That would be the dream for everyone, because then everyone would be happy and living their best life all the time, right? And that is actually your true form. That is how you were when you first arrived in this planet, right? And of course, things probably change, right, because of the environment, because of people around you, etc., etc. But I'm here to remind you again of who you truly are, right? And I want you to strive to be better, because then once you strive to be better, that's when you accept that you're in control, right? You no longer see yourself as a victim to your environment or your set of circumstances. You don't see yourself as a victim to your condition. You realize that you're in the driver's seat and you have the power each and every moment, each and every day, right? So you become motivated to not only bring out the best version of yourself because you deserve it, but you also are motivated to also be happy because you deserve it, right? To tap into your happiness more often, right? Because you deserve it. So long story short, you want to strive to bring out the best version of yourself. You want to strive to be the best version of yourself, because then that's when you can walk through life feeling powerful and always being tapped in, and nothing will ever strip you away from that power. So rather than wishing for everything around you and for life itself to be easier, right? Even though easier, hard is subjective anyways, wish for yourself to be better and strive to be better because you deserve it. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe. We are on the road to 1 million subscribers, guys. So once again, it's Show Up, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.